Welcome to the Snapback Life podcast, where resilient women come to reclaim their power, heal from trauma, and step into their most authentic selves. I'm your host, Jacinth Dada, your snapback from trauma to triumph life coach. And I'm here to guide you on your journey to healing and empowerment. In each episode, we dive into personal growth, overcoming adversity, and building a life that reflects your true potential. Stick around until the end for some exciting resources and opportunities to further your journey. Let's snap back and thrive together. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Snapback Life with Jacinth Dada. Today it's Friday and it's a wonderful day, like I always say. Let me fix my hair, y'all. It's a new me today. Anyways, I'm just giving some time for whoever wants to join us today. We're going to be diving into a very exciting topic today. So we'll just wait a few minutes. I don't know where you're going to be watching from, but right now I am in Georgia, and last night we were inundated with a lot of rain and wind, and apparently still today, like this afternoon. Right now there's no rain. The sun is not really out, but we are hunkered down, for whatever Helen is going to do. She's doing a lot of damage there in Tennessee and North Carolina, but we're thankful that we are okay. So wherever you are today, I am praying and hoping that you are remaining safe and not venturing out unnecessarily. So I want to welcome Jackie Francis for joining us. I don't know if this is your first time. We're just waiting for, other people to come in. I'll give them another few minutes. One thing I notice a lot with these sessions that we do, a lot of people end up watching the replay because we know it's Friday. A lot of people are at work. A lot of women are at work. And, so a lot of times we do see where they watch the replays. So listen, today I would love for you guys to kind of engage in this topic. My passion is about rest, self-care, the snapback from trauma to triumph. And this is the Snapback Life Facebook group. And one of the things that I decided to do a few months ago, especially when I started this group, the objective is for us as women to empower each other. And, a lot of us, we're going through a lot of things. Life is a journey, and it's a journey of ups and downs. So the premise and the objective of the Snapback Life membership is for us to empower each other. And one of the main things that we talk about on this platform is how to rest. It's how to take care of ourselves, self-care. And usually I give many ways that we can do that as women in the marketplace, women, professional women, women that own our own businesses, wherever you are in life. We cannot be too busy where we can't and, take care of ourselves. So today, ladies, I want to just welcome you to another empowering session. And today I'm going to talk about a subject that is still about self-care, but here's what we're going to talk about today: making yourself a priority, right? Not making yourself an option. And how often do we do that? Constantly. We put other people, right, first in most cases, especially as women. So whether you're joining us for the first time or you're a regular here, I want you to know that your presence matters, okay? Today, we'll talk about making yourself a priority. And when you do that, that your life can be transformed. Remember that before you can affect change, or before you can empower others, before you can encourage, before you can be a significance to others, one of the things that is vital is that you have to understand that you are a priority, right? Remember that your well-being, your dreams, your aspirations are essential to living a fulfilled life. Feel free, ladies, today. I want you to be intentional about this, to drop your thoughts in the comments as we go along. A lot of times I might not stop to respond. Sometimes I will. But a lot of times during the replays, I usually go back and respond to everyone's comment. So before we dive in, let's start by engaging. Share with me where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time, if you've been following and, joining us on this Facebook Live. So as I said, the topic today that we're going to be talking about is prioritizing yourself. Okay, so let's dig in. In this season of life, we need to revisit our dreams and recognize that we are worthy of prioritizing our needs. So often, ladies, we neglect to care for ourselves, right? We focus on other people, like I said earlier, and other people's responsibilities. But ladies, I want you to know today that making yourself a priority is not selfish. It is necessary to live in a fulfilled life. It is necessary for your health. It is necessary for you to live the life that you envision for yourself. And last year, I had the privilege of reading a book that was given to me by one of my business coaches. And the title of the book is Rest is a Resistant. And it's somewhat of a manifesto by this author, Tracia Hersey. And actually, she lives in the Atlanta area. And one of the things that she says in the book is that, quote, rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts, unquote. The idea here, when I read that, I was like, whoa, this is very profound, right? Rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts. And the idea here is that taking time, ladies, for yourself isn't just about personal wellness. It's an act of reclaiming your worth and resisting the pressures to constantly produce, to constantly be productive, right? Because yes, we're all about productivity, but there's certain productivities that are not good for our health. It's not good for us mentally, physically, or spiritually. So here she's saying when we determine in our minds that we're going to be intentional about resting, be intentional about prioritizing ourselves, then what happens is that it's an actual resistance. It disrupts the norm of society, because society tells us and demonstrates to us that as women, we got to be constantly doing. And we are very skilled when it comes to that, right? So let me know in the comments, ladies, if you've ever felt guilty for taking time for yourself. I don't know about you right now in this season of my life, and for the past probably decade, I have been one that I've been intentional about, caring for myself, about resting, taking those pause moments, right? Snapping back from the busyness of life, right? So that I can live a life of fulfillment. And every so often, something tragic happens in my life that causes me to look at life from a different lens, from a perspective that life is really very short. And a lot of times we think that we are going to live forever. But a few weeks ago, I did a session on the seasons of life and how important it is for us to know the seasons in which we live. So life has the ability to throw some things in your life that causes you to step back and to assess your life and to really acknowledge that, you know what? I need to be intentional about taking care of myself, right? So let me know in the chat if you ever have times in your life that you felt guilty of rest, and how have you managed that feeling, and have you progressed on with that, knowing that rest and taking care of yourself being a priority is vital. Let me know in the chat. There are 3 ways, ladies, that we neglect ourselves. I'm going to give you 3 examples of how we neglect ourselves, right? The first one is, and this is so common amongst us as women, the first way that we tend to neglect ourselves, ladies, is that, number 1, we overcommit ourselves. I used to have that problem, I should say. I'm recovering from that, right? We say yes to everything, right? If it sounds exciting, we say yes. We say yes to everyone else and leave no time for ourselves, slowly draining our energy, right? It is very important for us to be able to say yes to the things that are in alignment with our visions, with our dreams, with our goals, that we're able to say no to what. Let me rephrase this. It's very important for us to say no. I think I said it backwards. For us to say no to things that are not in alignment with our visions, our dreams, our goals, and our aspirations, so that we can say yes to the things that will propel us into the things that we are moving towards, our vision, our dreams, the things that we want to do, our purpose in life, right? Because a lot of times we're saying yes to a lot of things that are not in alignment with our dreams. It's not in alignment with who we are, with our vision. Sometimes that has to do with even individuals, right? That they are not the individuals that we need to be spending a lot of time with and saying a lot of yeses to, because guess what? Before you know it, you are off track from your vision and your dreams, right? From the type of life, even as far as your integrity and your morals, right? And the second thing that keeps us from taking care of ourselves, basically neglecting ourselves, is we ignore our physical health. And this is a biggie for me. This is something that I am passionate about as far as women, us as women. We ignore our physical health. Number 1, we skip exercise. We neglect our sleep. We don't eat nutritious meals because we're too busy. So we're eating on the run, right? And here are some examples of how we ignore our physical health. As women and as an individual that has been in the healthcare, as a healthcare professional for over 35 years, one of the things that I've noticed even earlier on in my life, when it comes to us, we are so busy with everything else. We put everything first. And when it's time for us to get our mammogram, time for us to go to the dentist, time for us to have our physical, time for us to even have our eye exams. I've spoken to women that went 3-4 years without having an eye exam, right? So these are ways that we neglect our self-care, right? It's vital, ladies. Your mammograms, right? That's something that I'm intentional about, because it's very difficult, right, to fix a problem or a health situation when it happens. There are conditions in our lives that we can prevent, right? When we take care of ourselves, when we eat, we exercise, we eat wholesome, right? We can prevent a lot of diseases, hypertension, diabetes, overweight. There's so many things that we have the power within our own hands to avert certain kinds of diseases and certain types of illnesses, migraine headaches, lack of rest, just constantly being lethargic. Ladies, make yourself a priority. Do not ignore your physical health, right? Take time out. And I feel like sometimes I'm hitting this like a dead horse, because that is what I do, right? My job and the objective of the Snapback Life is about reclaiming your power and caring for yourselves so that you can live long and healthy. Because guess what? God promises us in Psalms 91 that he will give us long life and satisfy us with his salvation. But there are also stipulations to this, right? And we have to hold ourselves accountable and also incorporate women. Get a community going of 1 or 2 women that you can be accountable to, right? You let them know, this is the journey I'm on, and I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to be the one on this journey with me. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I want to be on the journey with you to taking care of yourself so you can live the life that God ordained for you to live. And finally, right, I said I'm going to give you 3 ways that we neglect our selves as priority. And the final one, ladies, is we suppress our emotions. We suppress our emotions. There are times, and I'm guilty of this. You can be going through a stressful moment or some kind of trauma, pain, or difficulty in your life. And as women, your girlfriend might ask, your spouse, your children might ask, how are you doing? And we are so skilled. Oh, I'm fine. And the cliche, I'm blessed to be stressed. No, I am going through hell, and I want you to know. And here's another thing. When you ask someone about how they're feeling, don't just ask just for a conversation. But when you ask someone, another woman, a girlfriend, someone about how they're feeling, be sure that you're ready for the answer. Because the answer might shock you. The answer might not be, oh, I'm okay, I'm doing okay. Maybe at that time you open the door for that woman, for that young lady to begin to express to you her emotions, right? And we need to practice that. When someone asks us, right? We're not telling everybody our business. But guess what? When individuals, other women in our lives that we hold at a level of respect, we know that they are sincere. We know that if we confide in them, it is a safe place. And when they ask, how are you doing? I would say it's time out for us to stop suppressing our emotions, right? We tend to bottle up our feelings and don't allow ourselves the time and the space to process and to heal emotionally. And ladies, I want you to know that a lot of times for us to be able to process and to heal, sometimes we have to know the places, those safe places, that individual that we can bare our souls. For me, number 1 is the presence of God. Because no matter what, there are things that we go through, there are traumas that we go through that we can be encouraged, we can be empowered by other women. But when we take everything to God in prayer and to sit at his feet, and when we're sitting at the feet of Jesus, we don't have to wear the mask. We don't have to pretend. We don't have to pretend that everything is okay. My diction, my grammar don't have to be okay, right? Because at his feet, I'm able to be all that I am. I'm able to tell him my deepest hurt, my deepest trauma. And ladies, I guarantee you, and like I always say, there is nothing that we can go through. There's no emotional trauma, no emotional pain, no weaknesses that we can have that God has not already addressed it in his word. None. Okay? For me this morning, my days begin with, and it's not every morning that I go into my prayer room or go and sit in my chair and pray or just sit there in silence. There's some mornings before I get up, I begin, first of all, to meditate on the goodness of God, to thank him for waking me up this morning, for giving me breath. And the fact that I'm able this morning to move my limbs, the fact that I'm privileged to be able to sit here and to be sharing with you beautiful women. That is an honor. It's a privilege that God has given us, right? So drop in the chat, yes, if you have ever felt overwhelmed by any of the three that I mentioned, and share which one resonates the most with you, right? Is it that you tend to overcommit? Is it that you ignore your health because you're so busy? Or is it that you have a tendency to suppress your emotions? At one time, ladies, I fell in all three categories, and I still battle with number 3, right? And I believe a lot of us as women tend to bottle up our feelings because a lot of times, let's be real, a lot of times we don't know who to trust. But that is the importance of developing and curating a community of women or a platform that we can share. We can take the mask off. We can pull our hair back. Don't y'all like my hair? Pull our hair back and just be ourselves. Be real, right? So let me know in the chat, right? And here I want to share 3 ways that we can make ourselves a priority, right? Here are 3 ways that we can make ourselves a priority. Number 1, we need to set boundaries. And if you've been, watching or following us on Facebook Live on Fridays, when we talk about the 7 areas or the 7 strategies to self-care, one of the things that we have talked about is setting boundaries, right? Because if we as women don't set boundaries in our lives, then others will set boundaries. Your spouse will set your boundaries. Your children will set your boundaries. Your job, your business, whatever, your ministry will set boundaries for you. And when they set boundaries for you, a lot of times it's going to take you a long time to remove those boundaries, right? So let's be intentional about the need to set boundaries in our lives. For example, when I go into prayer, everybody in the house knows I'm in prayer, right? When I'm in my office doing Facebook Live or doing my podcasts, what happens when the doors close, there's a little sign there. I've already set a boundary. So my family knows, my husband knows, okay, whatever we need to talk about, it has to wait, right? Setting boundaries when it comes to taking care of yourself. There are times that you need to get away and to be with yourself. And a lot of times we don't think of this as self-care, getting away and being with you, with yourself, right? To set those times, those pause moments when you can have time to spend with yourself, right? The second, and let me go back here, learning to say no and protect your time so you can have space for self-care and for growth. That's setting boundaries. That's what happens when we set boundaries. We're able to grow. We're able to give ourselves the care that we need. We're able to evolve. We're able to transform into how God has created us to be, beautiful and fearfully and wonderfully made. And the second ways that we can make ourselves a priority, ladies, is regular self-care, right? It is essential. Incorporate daily rituals that nourishes your body, nourishes your mind, like exercise, meditation, or a hobby that you love. And if you notice, right, in everything that we're talking about today, it goes back to self-care. It goes back to taking time to care for ourselves. And finally, right, in this 3 aspect of how we can make ourselves a priority is practice emotional check-in. And we've talked about this. Check in with your emotions. How am I feeling today? How are you feeling today? Right? Are you tired? Do you need some time to rest? Are you hungry? Are you feeling healthy? Right? Check in with your emotion. What's happening with me? Am I irritable? Am I stressed? Right? And when you check in with those emotions, do not be afraid to honor those emotions. Honor those emotions by incorporating activities that will eliminate that stress, that headache, that lack of sleep, that lethargy, right? That, anxiety. Honor what your body is saying. Check in with yourself. Take time to process your feelings, whether that's, we can do that through so many different ways. And I'm sure for a lot of us as women, the way I process my emotions, my feelings, whatever I'm going through, that emotion that I'm going through might be different for you, right? But there are many ways in my life that I've incorporated certain activities, right? That helps me to process my feeling, right? Journaling, right? Spending time in the presence of the Lord, reading my Bible, reading books that empower me, reading books that, have something to do with, self-help books. But my number one book is the Bible, right? But with that, there's so many other books that I'm reading, right? So however you do it, hiking, walking, exercising, travel, right? So many things. So what you have to do, you have to know the things that releases that endorphin, that what I call the happy hormone, right? Take up a new hobby, call a friend, go for lunch, right? And here's the thing. Whenever I'm intentional about setting lunch dates with my friends, ladies, I'm intentional. Because what happens is when you make the time to gather with people women that means a lot to you, when you leave that lunch date, when you leave their presence, you feel much better than you did going, right? Because the conversation is empowering. The conversation is alive, right? It's life, right? You should not extend yourself and put yourself in positions where you're meeting with individuals that when you are there, when you leave their presence, it's like someone plugged an electric, an outlet to you and drain all your energy. No, that is not setting yourself as a priority, right? There are times that we need to sever some of those relationships that causes us causes our emotions and our energies to be drained, right? So that was a side note. Anyways, so that's the final thing. Check in with your emotions, right? To process your feeling. Whatever it looks like to you, journaling, talking to a trusted friend, seeking counsel, right? having a coach, having a mentor. Those are vital, right? For us to evolve into the woman that God has created us to be. So which one of those, I want you to drop in the chat, which one of these you feel that you need right now? Type in the chat. Do you need boundaries? Is it self-care rituals? Or is it an emotional check-in? For you right now, what is one thing that you feel that you need right now, right? And, I always want to give action, things that we can do right away, that we can begin to make ourselves a priority. So today I'm going to give you 2 action plans that you can immediately begin, right? As a daily self-care ritual that will help you to prioritize yourself. And here's our first action plan, ladies. I'm not going to be long with you today. Here's our first action plan. And these are just examples. You might have your own action plans, or you might have your own rituals as far as making yourself a priority that you have already set in your daily lives. So number 1 for me is dedicating at least 30 minutes daily to an activity that nurtures your mind, your body, and your spirit. What is that you can incorporate in your life on a daily basis for 30 minutes, right? That can change the trajectory of your day, right? What is that one thing? For me, as I said often, is getting into the presence of God, praying and reading my Bible, and sitting there and meditating on the goodness of God, right? Whether it's a walk in nature, meditation, reading, or engaging in creative hobbies, make this time non-negotiable. And ladies, I love to talk about non-negotiables. So we talked about setting boundaries earlier. Your boundaries should be your non-negotiable. There are things that you should have set in your daily life, or in your life, in your life as women, that are non-negotiable, right? Things that no matter what is happening, I am going to do this today, and nothing or no one is going to cause me not to do it. And non-negotiables doesn't mean that it's something that you're going to do every day, because life happens. And sometimes, something comes up, an emergency, things come up that we have to pivot. But it doesn't mean that you're going to pivot tomorrow, the next day, next week. The non-negotiables are set activities, or set ways that you care for yourself, right? It is essential. Think of it as an essential appointment with yourself that cannot be canceled or rescheduled, right? Those are the non-negotiables. Just like you have a doctor's appointment and it's on the calendar. I have a doctor's appointment on the 27th of whatever month, right? That's how you have to make yourself a priority. Setting those, important appointment with yourself. One of the things that I do, and maybe somebody can learn from this, on my calendar, right? It's highlighted in purple. Anything that affiliates with me, personal self-care, it's highlighted in purple. Whether it's getting my hair done, whether it's just today I'm just going to read my book, today I'm just going to do this, whatever it is, it's highlighted on my calendar, right? Travel, important. Like I said last week, for me, every 3 months, I am intentional about setting in my calendar or planning something that I'm going to do, right? Every 3 months, that is going to bring, excitement and something that I can look forward to, right? And maybe that's something that you can incorporate. And one of the scriptures that is so pivotal in what we're talking about as far as making yourself a priority, ladies, is found in 1 Corinthians 6:19. And Paul says this, he says, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, right? Yes, we think we own our bodies, but guess what? God created us for his purpose. And we have to now understand the importance that our bodies are a temple, that our bodies houses the Holy Spirit. It houses the Holy Spirit, right? So if my body is housing the Holy Spirit, which is a part of the Trinity, which is a part of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that tells me it's vital for me to take care of my body, right? And when you know that, you look at life, you look at the way you treat yourself differently, right? So what's one self-care activities, ladies, you'd like to commit to daily? You can type that in the comment, or you can write that in your journal, right? What is one self-care activity you'd like to commit to doing? Type it in the chat, or just write it down so that you can see it and do it. And the second action is goal setting and reflection, right? Our second action plan is all about setting goals and reflecting on them. A lot of times we set goals, right? I'm going to start walking in my neighborhood. We set that goal, but we don't reflect on it. And if you don't reflect on it and take the action to begin, it will never happen, right? All we need to do is begin where we are, right? At the start of each month, right? This is just something that we can do. Set 3 personal goals that align with your dreams and your aspirations. What are some goals that you can set that is in alignment with your vision, with your goals, right? For your life, for your business, for your family, for your children, for yourself, for your career. What are some goals that you can set? Remember that our goals have to be in alignment with where we want to go. We shouldn't set goals that has nothing to do with where I'm going. For me, my thing is speaking. I love to speak. And ladies, I want to drop this here. If you are doing an event, or you know someone that is doing an event and would like someone to come and speak to their women, to their prior group or whatever, about taking care of themselves, about self-care, about trauma, I am open for speaking engagements. I'll just drop that there. So whatever I am doing in life, whatever it is in this season of my life, it has to be in alignment with my assignment, with my purpose, with my dream, and with my vision, right? And that is how we have to navigate life. It has to be in alignment with what you're doing. And those goals should be specific. They should be measurable. They should be achievable, and they should be in a timing, right? And this is what we call the SMART goals. At the end of each week, take time out to reflect on your progress. And sometimes that's very difficult because we go through the week accomplishing so much that at the end of the week, we just want to put our hair down, rest, curl up with a good movie or a good book, eat some good comfort food. But there are times that in those moments, we have to be intentional about, looking at the week, assessing, right, where we are, reflecting on our progress. What did I do well this week as pertain to setting myself as a priority, right? What do I need to improve on, right? Celebrate your successes. Celebrate the improvements, right? Celebrate the fact that you went walking. Celebrate the fact that, wow, this week I really did good with how I ate, right? Identify any obstacles and adjust your approach as needed. It's all in increments, ladies. It's all in increments. And while we're here, I want to say one thing. one of the things that I've learned and have helped me tremendously in the last decades of my life is not to get trapped in competition. I do not compete with anyone. I compete only with Jacinth. And that is what, if you don't take away anything today, one of the things I want you to take away with, compete with only you. Because there's a lot of things on social media, how people look, how they're dressed in, what they're doing. Oh my goodness, their event looks so good. They're doing this, their business is scaling. So many things that we can look at other women on social media, even in our sphere of influence, and then we want to compete. But I have learned over the years that I will not be trapped in the competition world, right? I compete, and I've learned, and God has really taught me this, right? Because when you know who you are, know your purpose in life, know what God has called you to do, right? Then you begin to hone your skills, you begin to improve, to transform, and to do the necessary work within your own self that is required for you to live in your divine purpose. So compete with you, okay? The Bible says in Proverbs 16:3, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. This is one of my favorite scriptures, ladies. I have so many things I'm doing, and so many things are coming that I want to share with you, and I'm going to share with you in the near future, right? And I want you to look out for it. God is doing an amazing thing in my life. And this is one of my favorite scriptures. I commit, and I want you to learn to commit. Whatever you're doing, your aspirations, your dreams, your vision, your assignment, your purpose, God is saying to us that whatever we do, we should commit it to the Lord, and he will establish your plans. Whatever your plans is, right? Or whatever your plans are, God will establish them if we commit them to him. This is pivotal. It is so important, right? So whatever your goals are, right? What are you working on right now? Think about it. Is there a goal that you're working on right now that you need to commit to the Lord? You can share it in the chat. You can DM me, or you can just journal that and commit it to the Lord. There are many biblical examples of Jesus making himself a priority, right? That sounds very off kilter. But for Jesus to be able to accomplish his purpose on earth in those 3 years, he had to make himself a priority. He had to rest. He had to step away from the crowd and have those pause moments where he can have fellowship, where he can commit his pain, his trauma. When he was about to go to the cross, he knew the gravity, that weight that was on him. And even during the times that he was equipping his disciples, right, to become prophets and apostles, he had to take time away with them so that he was able to equip them. Jesus himself, as I said, he took time to rest and care for himself, showing us that rest is not only necessary, but it's also a spiritual practice. Rest is a spiritual practice as well as a physical practice, as well as an emotional practice. And I want to give you 3 examples, right? 3 examples of how Jesus rests, how he took time to rest and he took time to pray. Luke 5:15 through 16 says, despite the demands on his time and the crowds, he constantly seek God. Jesus often withdrew. I'm just giving you the synopsis. The scriptures, you can find them as I give them. Luke 5:15-16, right? Jesus often withdrew in quiet places to rest and to pray. This reminds us, and it should remind us, ladies, that even in our busy seasons, we need to create space for rest and to reconnect with God, right? And when you read Luke 5:15-16, you will see where he withdrew from the crowd and he took time to rest, right? Jesus rests in the midst of a storm. Can you believe it? He's in, and right now we're watching what Hurricane Helena is doing. And to be honest, I found myself this morning when I woke up after 5. I went into my secret place and I just sat there and rest, right? So we are able to rest in the storm. Jesus showed us that in Mark 4:35-40, while the disciples were panicking during a storm. And we see that even right now, many people are panicking, right? And with all rights, right? But when you know that Jesus is in the midst of your storm, whatever that storm is, whether it's a natural storm or whether it's a storm of trauma, a storm of, challenges, a storm of pain, whatever the storm is in your life, when you know that Christ is in the center of that storm, you're able, like him, to rest in the midst of the storm. Jesus was asleep in the boat while the storm, the physical storm, was on the sea. But when he did that, he was showing his disciples that they should trust in him, right? This teaches us that even in times of chaos, like I said, we need to rest and we need to trust that God is in control. But how are we going to trust God? We can't trust the God that we don't know. And ladies, the best way for us to learn about this God is in his word, right? To spend time in his presence. Jesus also encouraged his disciples to rest. And Mark 6:30-32 tells us that, right? We're still talking about making ourselves a priority, right? Jesus showed that example to his disciples. After a busy period of ministry, Jesus told his disciples to come away with him to a quiet place of rest, right? In that place of rest, they might be eating some roasted fish and some bread and just chatting and, chatting about life, right? But resting from the crowd, resting from the busyness, right? And sometimes you got to rest from your family. Sometimes you got to rest from your business. Sometimes you got to rest from your jobs, right? This shows that rest is essential, and not only for us individually, but also for those around us. Because when we do that, when we practice to take care of ourselves, to make ourselves a priority and to rest, then others around us will see and want to emulate, right? They will see and want to emulate. Now you become influential, you become significant when it comes to making yourself a priority, right? So ladies, that is what I want to discuss with you today. How do I find time to care for myself with a busy schedule? That's the question that I find a lot of women ask me. How do we find time as women, as busy as we are, wearing all these different responsibilities? How do we find time for self-care with busy schedule? This is such a common challenge, but I want to give you I want to close out today and give you 3 tips that might help you, right? Number 1, schedule it. That is as simple as it is. Schedule it in your busy day. Treat self-care like any other important appointment, like we said earlier. Block out time on your calendar. Not only block it out, but stick to it. The second tip that I want to leave with you, the second strategy is start small. Begin with short, manageable self-care activities. 5-10 minutes a day can make a difference. And you don't have to start out every day. It could be 3 days a week because that's all you can do. 2 days a week. But as you start in small increments, it begins to build. And before you know it, it's 5 days. It's every day. It's a non-negotiable, right? And the third tip that I want to leave with you today is combine activities, right? We can combine our activities. Integrate self-care with your daily routines, like listening to podcasts, listening to music, right? Listening to something empowering, right? Listening to my Facebook Live, right? Commuting or doing a quick meditation during lunch breaks, right? For me this morning, oh my goodness, when I got up and I went into prayer, came out, I thought I was going to go back to bed because it was still dark. It was raining, windy, but I had a lift of energy. So I started doing a few things. The next thing I was cleaning bathrooms. The next thing I find myself doing a lot of things, right? But I had a cutoff. And while I'm doing that, I'm listening to some worship music. And in my mind, I know that at a certain time, I had to cut it off because I have to prepare for this Facebook Live, right? So it's all about being intentional, ladies. It's all about being intentional. And in conclusion, ladies, remember, you are worthy of time. You are worthy of energy, and you are worthy of love. When you prioritize yourself, you're building a life that reflects your dreams, aligns with your purpose, and allows you to truly live the life that you desire, stress-free. And maybe when I say stress-free, I'm talking about free of the toxic stress that sometimes we allow ourselves to just embrace, right? We'll always have stress, but like I always say, when you have the tools, right, that you need to incorporate in those stressful moments, then life, people are looking at you like you have no worries in the world. But it's not that you don't have worries. It's not that you're not going through trauma, pain, and challenges or have been through, but it's because you've learned the secret to self-care, right? It allows you to celebrate your extraordinary journey as you embrace what I call the snapback life, where you soar, you prioritize yourself, and you live fully in alignment with your God-given purpose. Ladies, this has been fun. And I hope that as we conclude today, our every Friday Facebook Live, that you're not only coming on and listening, but you are taking some of these keys, some of these strategies, and incorporating them in your daily life. So with that said, before you go, I wanted to share something with you. I'm going to share on our Snapback Life member group my new website. And I want to share with you that in the coming months, probably by the end of next month, sometimes in October, I've had the opportunity to co-author a book, and that should be coming out very soon. And also, I am releasing my podcast before the end of this year, probably in the next few weeks, first or second week in October, and working on a journal for the Snapback Life women. So many things are happening, and I'm excited about it, and I'm hoping that you're excited with me and that you will come along the journey with me. And one of the things, a big thing that I'm planning for 2025, ladies, around April or May, we have not solidified a date, but I think it should be in April around my birthday. I will be doing my first live event. And I want you to stay tuned for more information on that. It will be a paid event, but it will be something that is very economical that we all can afford. So I want you to stay tuned. And the fact that I'm doing all this, one of the most important thing for me is to be able to speak to women, to empower women on this aspect, on this journey of rest and self-care from trauma to triumph. So as I said earlier, if you are doing an event or you know someone that is, doing an event, if you are a pastor, someone that is in charge of a women's ministry, listen, I am open to come and to speak to your women, to speak to them and to encourage and to empower them. And listen, it is time for us to harness the gifts that are before us. So ladies, I'm looking forward to all the things that are happening, not only with me, but with you. I want you to share in your chat what you're doing, right? Because on one of our lives, what I want to do also is just to put a shout out to all the women that are a part of this snapback group who have their own business, travel business, ministries, whatever it is. DM me so that I can, highlight you on my podcast, when I speak. It's all about celebrating each other and others, and be excited for what God is doing in our lives. Ladies, I want you to have a great Friday. And remember, every Friday at 12 o'clock, we are going live. And I'm going to do this as long as the Lord says so. Okay, have a great day. And thanks a lot for showing up. Barbara, thank you so much for coming on. Patricia, who is always trying to attend some of these lives, and Shirley Mitchell. I hope you guys learned and enjoyed this time that we had to share. And listen, talk to me in the chat, because I will have time where I'll go and I'll answer each person individually. Okay? Remember, life is a gift. Live it well. And it's all about the snap back from trauma to triumph. Have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in to the Snapback Live podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an opportunity to snap back and thrive with us. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with your friends, your family, or anyone who could benefit from joining our powerful community of resilient women. I'm also accepting speaking engagements, so if you're looking for a dynamic keynote speaker for your next event, let's connect. You can find more details on my speaking, joining the Snapback community, and all things the Snapback Life at thesnapback.org. Again, at thesnapback.org. Until next time, remember, your comeback is always stronger than the setback.